Guys, it's Raven here with some more Arma 3 related content. So the last video we talked about the military and civilian placement modules. Um, so pretty much all of these guys right here, as well as the main modules that are needed. So these ones down here. In this video, we're gonna talk about the TAORs and the military IED threat. So, TAORs, basically all that stands for is area of responsibility, basically. So on this map, you can see I have one extremely large TAOR. And that's because I want AI to spawn across the entirety of the map. You can use more than one. So say for instance you're playing on a 20 by 20 map and it's cut in half because half of the map is water. We'll just say like Altus, for example, or Chinaris. So you want to keep all of the AI spawning on the land and not in the water. So you can set up TAORs kind of how I did here with the civilian TAORs. Or, you can just use the entirety of the map. It's entirely on you. And as I say all the time, it's all about the testing aspect of it. So, with the TAORs, name them something simple so you don't forget it. Because you need to input the TAORs in the placement modules. So using the civilian population as an example, or civilian placement, I should say. The TAORs that I have, I want civilians to spawn in OP4, Civ 1 through 8. And then I don't want them to spawn in the Blue 4 TAOR. So I put that in the blacklist. Like it says right there, it's the exclusion marker. So you do the same thing for the military placement and the military IED threat, as well as military close quarter battle. So how it will look when you're doing it is you go over to markers, areas, rectangle, or circle, depends on how you want to do it. So say for instance, I want to put a TAOR over these 4 grid squares, simple drag and drop, and then you open it. For variable name, you don't want to do it on text. You want to do it under variable name. So I already have Civ 8, so I would call this one Civ 9. And then boom, that is now another TAOR that I would put into the civilian placement. But since I already have it all set up, after you do all of that and you have them labeled, you'll have your OP4 TAOR, you'll have your Civ 1, your Civ 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you'll have your Blue 4 blacklist marker. So for me, I have the Blue 4 blacklist marker based off of the spawn radius that I have. So say for instance, we're playing on a 20 by 20 map. This map is like 10 kilometers by 10 kilometers basically. So I'm playing on a 20 kilometer map. I'd set the spawn radius to 2 kilometers as an example. So these 2 kilometers right here, I would want to shrink down. So anywhere in these 2 kilometers, nothing's going to spawn. Outside of those 2 kilometers, stuff can spawn. Me personally, I like to double it. So if it says 2 kilometers, I'll make the exclusion zone where stuff can't spawn to 4 kilometers. That way, if there is a AI group that spawns like right here, it's not going to like affect anybody on base. It's far enough away so they're not necessarily going to feel the spawn happening. So once you have it all set up, it'll look like this. You'll have all of your TAORs, and then all you do from there is you go into the we'll say military close quarter battle. So you go into where it says TAOR, and then you just simply type it in. Once you have it typed in on one, you can easily Control C, you can copy it, and then go across all of the other areas that need TAORs, and then just simply paste it in there. So the second thing that we're going to go on today is the military IED threat. So with the military IED threat, blacklist and TAORs, like we just talked about, matter. And then there's a buttload of options that you can choose from. So with the IED threat, you have options from none to extreme. On this map that we're about to play on, I have it set on high for IED detection. People carry the mine detector, so they'll get a little audio cue when there's an IED nearby. You can also have it set on text, but audio is preferred for us. Suicide bomber threat, once again, none to extreme. I have it set on medium. So for optional bomber class, you can name specific classes that you want to be suicide bombers. So I picked civilians or civilian class names from the Takistani faction. So anything, if you want to use vanilla characters, you can. Vehicle-borne IED threat, once again, none to extreme. I have it set on none. That way it decreases the amount of spawned in vehicles. Bomber vehicle side, you have Civ East and West. I just have it set on Civ, but you can choose one of those options if you want to. But because I'm not using a vehicle-borne IED, I just leave it as the default value. IED bomber locations, I have it set on random. You can have it set on enemy occupied or unoccupied, but I prefer random. That way, if it's in a occupied TAOR and there's a suicide bomber in there, it kind of makes sense that they're going to be in there because they're controlling that area. And then unoccupied is the exact inverse of that. If they're not there, then there's probably going to be a suicide bomber threat. I like to leave it on random. That way, if there's you're walking down the street, you see a random dude, and you're like, that dude's kind of sketchy, and he turns out to be a suicide bomber. Well, you're going to find out really quick. So for third-party IED system, I've had some questions on this. Let me rephrase that. My community, we use the EODS Plus mod. So for this, we set the third-party IED system to yes because we're not using the vanilla IED system. And then for the class names, there's a whole list of class names. If you want to know the EODS class names, I can put them in the description below. Just leave some comments telling me that you want to know the class names, and I can, plop them in there. But as of right now, I'm just going to leave it there. The urban IEDs and the roadside IEDs are the exact same, and then the clutter objects are pretty much the exact same of vanilla, but you can change the class names for that as well. But that's all for the IED threat. So once you have everything all set up, you got your TAORs, you got your IED threat, you got all the correct placement modules, everything's all good in your eyes, and you're ready to go. You can play the scenario in single player to do your little quick testing and debug sort of stuff. So as soon as it loads up, I will jump back in here and then we'll show you everything. All right, and we're in. Okay, so to test your TAORs and to verify that you did it correctly, if you open your map and you don't see boxes all over the place, that means your TAORs are operating correctly. And then to actually see spawns and whatnot, you can open admin actions. The default key, I believe, is, let's just double check. Not there. Add-ons alive. Open menu. Should be space by default. I haven't changed this. Might be different for you. Might not be. To check, all you gotta do, controls, configure add-ons, hit the drop down, go down to alive, and then it should show up. But ooh, never looked at that before. But yeah, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the map. I'm gonna hit space. So if you hit admin actions, you can activate marking units. I don't do that. Ghosting, I don't do that either. But that allows you to be ignored by the AI. Teleporting. So if I wanted to teleport myself somewhere, all I got to do is open a map and then click, and then it'll poof me out over here. See? So I want to go back over here. Boop. So I'm just gonna click again. Yep, works. So we'll disable the teleporting there. You can profile non-profile units. I don't do this because it'll lag everything up for a period of time until it's all done. But yeah, you can toggle opcom installation. So if I toggle the opcom installations, it's showing where all the military and civilian objectives are, and then they fade out over time. Other shit is the debug console. I'm not gonna touch that. So for module settings, if you click over to module settings, you got close quarter battle, IED threat, virtual AI system, and civilian population. So if I click civilian population, it'll show where civilians are spawning. So all of these little green and white dots here, this is civilian spawns. Pretty self-explanatory. The white ones that say function get weapons, that means that AI can, if that's an AI spawn right there, they're gonna move to get weapons. Basically turn into insurgents. The rogue, function rogue, they do their own thing. Get weapon, idle, random movement, housework, start meeting. Yeah, so they do a bunch of fucking random shit. So to disable that, simply go over civilian population, deactivate. All right, we want to check the virtual AI system. We want to see where AI is spawning. So we got some random groups out here, out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Got some out over here, but the main brunt is where we want them to be, which is where we placed the module for the military placement and like the military AI commander. So probably up here is where there's going to be the military AI commander. Down here, that's one of the civilian locations. So they're probably going to spawn in there. They'll probably spawn over here as well. The more densely packed they are, like these little icons right here, are vehicles. So they might have a problem spawning in where they, go kablooey and whatnot. But basically AI is spawning where we want them to, which is good. So we'll deactivate that one. So the next thing we'll check is the IED threat. So this is one of the things that we were covering with the TAORs. So these big red circles here is where IEDs can spawn. So if I were to poof myself over in this town, which I'm not going to do because there's bad guys there, But if I were to poof myself there with the debug active, it would populate on the map where there's IEDs. You know what? Here, let me change the side real quick. Player, change side of player. Boop. Boom. All right, cool. So now we got the debug active. We'll just poof ourselves over here somewhere. Boom. So ignore that little error message up there. So while we're sitting here, showing that there's an IED up there, but as we walk through, IEDs will populate on the map, if there's any around here, which there should be, but using Alive, it gives you the whole lifelike feel. So say, for instance, you're coming in from the south end. You don't see these guys over here while you're driving up, or I mean, you see these guys, but we'll pretend these guys aren't here. You're driving up, and then all you see when you're coming up, you see a bunch of civilians. You see, vehicles in here. So it gives the whole the whole lived-in vibe, if you will, which is cool because it's 100% dynamic, and the what's the word I'm looking for? It gives a lived-in feel. It's not, just a generic go here, kill this sort of thing. You gotta be cognizant of what you're shooting at. So if we deactivate that, we can go over to military close quarter battle, and then we can open and see where there's CQB locations. So CQB locations are basically where AI will spawn inside of buildings and fight from said buildings. So we can see that our TAORs are marking, or our TAORs are working properly, and all of our admin functions are working properly. When it does this, if I can just restart, it'll clear itself up. If you're doing this on a server and it locks up like this, you'll have to restart it, like just not the entire server, just like the mission. But yeah, so I hope you guys learned something. If you like what you saw and you want to help me out and let me know that you guys want to see more live tutorial stuff or any tutorials in general, feel free to leave a like, comment, and then if you do subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell icon, that way you get notified every time I upload. I try, if I'm not super busy with work, I try to put up a video at least once a week, if not twice. But real life and army shit, yeah. So, but as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to leave a like, comment, and if you do subscribe, hit that little bell icon. And if you guys are looking for a cool group to join, definitely check us out via the links below. But hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.